All right, we're taking a look at keys for Azure Key Vault. One of the three core offerings, one being keys, secrets, and certificates. Keys, we use it to encrypt things, utilizing with Azure services. So like if you need to encrypt Azure disks or apply it in a variety of things where we have encryption at rest, it's useful for this because it'll just easily integrate with those Azure services. So when creating the key, there are three options. We have generate, so Azure will generate the key, import an existing RSA key, restore backup, so restore a key from backup. For keys that are generated by Azure, you can either use RSA or EC. Sometimes we see people say ECC, but in the UI they called it EC. RSA is an algorithm, and it's actually the combining of three names of cryptologists or the people that made the algorithm. And you'll see there's a few different lengths: 2048, 3072, 4096. That's the amount of bits. That's how long it is. Then you have ecliptic curve cryptography, and then it says P hyphen, and we have 256, 384, 521, 256K. I'm going to assume that also has to do with length. I don't know exactly how it translates over to bit size, but I'm sure that's similar. For keys generated by Azure, you can set an activation expiration date. Probably a good practice because that forces you to rotate your keys after a period of time. You can create new versions of keys, so that's a cool benefit. You can download backups of keys. Backups can only be restored within the same Azure subscription and within Azure Key Vault. I think we do that in the follow along. So for premium vaults, you do have additional options for HSM, and it's not that fancy. It's just like RSA and EC are repeated here, but with hyphen HSM to specify it's going to the hardware security module. You can generate, you can import for the HSM. There are Microsoft managed keys, also known as MMK. These are keys managed by Microsoft that do not appear in your vault, and in most cases are used by the default for many Azure services. So even if you don't think you're using keys, you actually are. And so the way, if you're using like AWS, you actually do see them in a key management service, but Azure decides not to show them and just have it by default there for you. Customer managed keys, CMK, are keys you create in Azure Key Vault. You need to select a key from a vault for various services. So sometimes a customer managed means that the customer has imported cryptographic material. But when we're talking about Azure, when you generate or import a key, they consider that a CMK. And I'm pointing that out because I use other clouds like AWS and GCP, and for AWS, CMK indicates imported cryptographic material, not exactly how Azure describes it here. In order to use a key as Azure service needs an identity within Azure AD, so for permission to access the key from the vault. For infrastructure encryption, this is sometimes an option by default. Azure encrypts storage accounts data at rest. Infrastructure encryption adds a second layer of encryption to your storage accounts data, and we'll talk about double encryption because I was like, what's double encryption? And so then I had to make some slides here for us, okay?